Welcome to the Certification Review Public Meeting and Listening Session for the Lafayette Urbanized Area, which is administered by the Acadiana Metropolitan Planning Organization, MPO. The following agencies participated in this review: the Federal Highway Administration, FHWA, Louisiana Division, Federal Transit Administration, FTA, Region 6, Louisiana Department of Transportation and Development, LADOT, and the Acadiana Planning Commission. The Certification Review Public Meeting will be held on November 18th at the MPO Policy Committee meeting. The Metropolitan Planning Area boundaries must include the entire urbanized area, UZA, boundary identified in the 2010 decennial census, and the contiguous geographic area likely to become urbanized within 20 years. The current Lafayette urbanized area boundary, UZA, was adjusted between 2015 and 2016 as a result of the 2010 population changes. It is comprised of the entire Lafayette Parish and parts of Acadia, Iberia, St. Martin, St. Landry, and Vermilion parishes. The 2000 census adjusted the urbanized area of Lafayette to include the municipalities of Breaux Bridge and Maurice, as well as portions of Acadia, Iberia, St. Martin, and Vermilion parishes. Within the study area lies the municipalities of Lafayette, Scott, Youngsville, Broussard, Carencro, Duzin, Sunset, Breaux Bridge, Henderson, Parks, St. Martinville, La Rouville, New Iberia, Maurice, Cancton, and Grand Coteau. Based on the official 2010 census data, the 6-parish metropolitan planning area had a population of 338,325 persons in 2010. With a projected population increase to 389,328 in 2020, which is a projected 15% increase in population. Public Meeting Listening Session Overview. This session includes a short presentation on why we are here, and the metropolitan planning process. Upon completion of the presentation, there will be an open forum for comments on the planning process in the Lafayette Metropolitan Planning Area, MPA. Written comments can be completed on the comment cards or mailed to 5304, Flanders Drive, Suite A, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, 70808. Attention! Baton Rouge Certification Review, or by email at louisiana.fy.gov.
What will happen with your comments today? The comments received today and by mail, within the next 30 days, will be summarized and included in the report from this review. Comments are taken into consideration while FHWA and FTA evaluate the metropolitan transportation planning process for the area. Advance to the next slide and click in the center of the slide to start the audio. What is the outcome of this review? The final report will be issued in approximately 60 days, summarizing the discussions during the review. The report will certify the metropolitan transportation planning process in the Baton Rouge Metropolitan Planning Area. The certification will determine if recommendations or corrective actions are needed. In addition, best practices and achievements in the Baton Rouge region will be highlighted as well. Advance to the next slide and click in the center of the slide to start the audio.
What is the outcome of this review? A final report will be issued in approximately 45 days, summarizing the discussions during the review. The report will certify the metropolitan transportation planning process in the Lafayette Metropolitan Planning Area, MPA. The certification will determine if recommendations or corrective actions are needed. Best practices and achievements in the Acadiana region will be highlighted as well. Why are we here today? Per federal requirements, every 4 years FHWA and FTA must jointly review the metropolitan transportation planning process for those areas with a population over 200,000. Part of this review includes seeking public input, which gives you an opportunity to give your opinions on the Lafayette urbanized area MPO's Metropolitan Transportation Planning Process Effectiveness.
Certification Review Regulatory Requirement. According to 23 U.S.C. 134 and 49 U.S.C. 5303, the Secretary shall ensure that the metropolitan planning process of a metropolitan planning organization serving a transportation management area is being carried out in accordance with applicable provisions of federal law. Advance to the next slide and click in the center of the slide to start the audio. The certification of the metropolitan planning process is not just a review of the MPO or its staff, rather, it is a review of the continuing, cooperative, and comprehensive 3C planning process conducted by all agencies, state, MPO, and transit operators. This shared responsibility is specifically addressed in the Regulations 23 CFR 450.314, The MPO, states, and the providers of public transportation shall cooperatively determine their mutual responsibilities in carrying out the metropolitan transportation planning process. Advance to the next slide and click in the center of the slide to start the audio. What is a metropolitan planning organization? A metropolitan planning organization, MPO, is the policy board of an organization created and designated to carry out the metropolitan transportation planning process. MPOs are required to represent localities in all urbanized areas, UZA, with populations over 50,000, as determined by the U.S. Census. MPOs are designated by agreement between the governor and local governments that together represent at least 75% of the affected population, including the largest incorporated city, based on population, or in accordance with procedures established by applicable state or local law. When submitting a transportation improvement program to the state for inclusion in the statewide program, MPOs self-certify that they have met all federal requirements. MPOs must establish a setting for effective decision-making, identify and evaluate transportation improvement options, involve the public, identify performance measure targets and monitor whether or not implemented projects are achieving targets, prepare and maintain a Metropolitan Transportation Plan, MTP, and develop a Transportation Improvement Program, TIP. Who is involved? Typically, an MPO governance structure includes a variety of committees as well as a professional staff. The Policy Committee is the top-level decision-making body for the planning organization. In most MPOs, the Policy Committee comprises elected or appointed officials from local governmental jurisdictions such as municipalities or counties, representatives of different transportation modes, such as public transit, freight, bicycle, and pedestrian. In addition to organizations that coordinate regional economic initiatives like area chambers of commerce, state agency officials such as State Department of Transportation and Health and environmental agencies, as well as non-voting members such as Federal Highway Administration, Federal Transit Administration, Federal Aviation Administration, and Federal Rail Administration. Most MPOs also establish a technical committee to act as an advisory body to the Policy Committee for transportation issues that primarily are technical in nature. The technical committee interacts with the MPO's professional staff on technical matters related to planning, analysis tasks, and projects. The following are planning factors MPOs should consider in delivering the metropolitan transportation planning process. Support economic vitality of the metropolitan area. Increase the safety of the transportation system for motorized and non-motorized users. Increase the security of the transportation system. Increase accessibility and mobility of people and freight. Protect and enhance the environment, promote energy conservation, improve quality of life, and promote consistency between transportation improvements and state and local planned growth and economic development. Enhance the integration of connectivity of transportation system, across and between modes for people and freight. Promote efficient system management and operation. Emphasize the preservation of the existing transportation system. Improve resiliency and reliability of the transportation system and reduce or mitigate stormwater impacts of surface transportation, and enhance travel and tourism. How do state and metropolitan agencies coordinate to administer the metropolitan planning process? Because of limited funding, state DOTs and MPOs must prioritize the regional needs and determine the best and most economical transportation solutions, which includes forecasting future population and employment growth, assessing regional land use changes and planned future development, identifying major growth corridors and analyzing the transportation network efficiency, through detailed planning studies, and various transportation improvements. Developing alternative capital and operating strategies to move people and goods. Estimating the impact of the transportation system on air quality within the region, and developing financial plans that cover operating costs, maintenance of the system which includes system preservation costs, and new capital investments.
The Metropolitan Transportation Planning Process is a collaborative process, led by the Acadiana Planning Commission, APC, which administers the Acadiana Metropolitan Planning Organization, MPO, and other regional stakeholders that coordinate land use development and transportation connectivity.
What are the required products of the metropolitan planning process? The following planning products are produced by the MPO. The Public Participation Plan, PPP. Unified Planning Work Program, UPWP, which is updated annually. Metropolitan Transportation Plan, MTP, which is updated every 4 years. Congestion Management Process, CMP, which is typically updated prior to the update of the MTP, and the Transportation Improvement Program, TIP, which is updated every 4 years. The Public Participation Plan serves as a program guide for the public participation process of the MPO. The public participation process provides the MPO policies and principles that guide its communications in coordination with interested parties such as residents, neighborhood associations, private and public agencies, and transportation providers, and other members of the public. Additionally, the plan serves as a tool for planners and decision-makers to engage residents, community groups, organizations, and businesses in the process of planning the transportation system. The public participation process recommends timely public notification and access to information, the utilization of visualization techniques, the availability for public information to be accessed electronically, conduct public meetings at convenient and accessible locations, demonstrate explicit consideration and response to the public input during development of MTP and TIP. Consider needs and input from traditionally underserved communities like low-income, individuals with disabilities and residents where English is a second language. Coordinate with the statewide planning process. Review the effectiveness of the program. Summarize public comments on MTP and TIP. Provide for a public comment period of 45 days for revising public participation plan, as well as consult with agencies and officials during development of MTP. What is a Unified Planning Work Program, UPWP? The UPWP is an annual or biennial statement of work identifying the planning priorities and activities to be carried out within a metropolitan planning area. At a minimum, a UPWP includes a description of the planning work and resulting products, who will perform the work, time frames for completing the work, the cost of the work, and the source of funds. What is a Metropolitan Transportation Plan, MTP? Each MPO must prepare a Metropolitan Transportation Plan, MTP, in accordance with 49 U.S.C. 5303(I), to accomplish the objectives outlined by the MPO, the state, and the public transportation providers with respect to the development of the metropolitan area's transportation network. This plan must identify how the metropolitan area will manage and operate a multimodal transportation system, including transit, highway, bicycle, pedestrian, and accessible transportation, to meet the region's economic, transportation, development and sustainability goals, among others, for a 20-plus year planning horizon, while remaining fiscally constrained. The plan must be updated every 5 years. What is a congestion management process, CMP? A congestion management process, CMP, is a systematic approach to address congestion in order to reduce its impacts on the movement of people and goods. A CMP should provide the region with a process to identify the location, extent, duration, and causes of recurring and non-recurring congestion, evaluate the impacts of congestion, identify strategies to reduce congestion, and evaluate implemented strategies. What is a Transportation Improvement Program, TIP? A TIP is a capital improvement program developed cooperatively by local and state transportation entities. It includes a list of multimodal transportation projects, such as highway, transit, bicycle, and pedestrian projects. The TIP serves as a short-term programming document that lists approximately 4 years of funded transportation projects, committed from local, state, and federal sources. These projects are designed to construct, complete, implement, operate and maintain regional and statewide transportation systems in accordance with the recommendations of the Long-Range Statewide Transportation Plan and the MPO's MTP. If the region has air quality issues, this mix of projects must be within given emissions limits. The following are stages of transportation project development and delivery process. Every project, no matter how big or small, has to go through all of these stages. These stages are programmed in the TIP for project development and delivery. Stage 0, Feasibility and Planning. Stage 1, Environmental, NEPA. Stage 2, Funding Project Prioritization. Stage 3, Final Design Pre-Construction, Design, Right-of-Way, and Utilities. Stage 4, Letting, Bidding. Stage 5, Construction. Stage 6, Operations and Maintenance. How do these federally required products fit together? All these products support the statewide planning process and the development of supporting program documents like the Statewide Transportation Improvement Program, STIP, which serves as the state's investment plan. Your comments are welcomed. Have you had an adequate opportunity to participate in the MPO transportation planning process? What are your views of the process? Do you receive information early enough in the process? Do you feel your comments are taken into consideration by staff and the MPO? Do you have adequate time to comment on planning and programming products in the process? What are the positive aspects of the transportation planning process and what suggestions do you have for improving the process? Written comments can be completed on the comment cards or mailed to 5304, Flanders Drive, Suite A, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, 70808. Baton Rouge Certification Review or by email at louisiana.fhwa@dot.gov.